I want to know empathy. What does it mean to you?
Empathy.
Yeah.
Understanding other people's thoughts and desires and needs.
Thoughts, desires, and needs. What kind of mindset or mind frame do you put yourself in to even do that? I feel like that's not necessarily common.
It's not easy. It's literally almost pulling yourself out of reality and looking at the world from like God's view.
Like above.
Like in the cloud, whatever it is to you. But like pulling yourself out and kind of examining things in a third party.
Why do you think that's important in leadership or in owning a company?
Well, I can tell you for contract negotiations, it's trying to understand what that person's thinking and what they're trying to perceive as their needs, wants, and desires versus what you want on that contract. But also, that's contract-based, looking at from an employee standpoint. Every one of my employees in my office is like, I'm trying to understand on a daily basis where they want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Do they want to get married? Do they want to live here forever? Because those decisions and me understanding them allows me to make decisions as a leader for how our organization operates and what I can provide to them to kind of align their visions with my visions of Designblends.
To actually get to the same destination
Exactly.
parallel.
Everyone has their own reality that they're living in. So it's how do you start aligning their realities with yours, and is it even possible? And you start, when you have that empathy, you start learning, well, maybe this employee isn't as committed as you thought they might be. Maybe they're just here because they want a name on a resume and just want to leave in 3 months.
And so you start that thinking process. Now, your pedigree of discipline or schooling was architecture?
Architecture.
And do you think that has helped, or that habituation, I think, has helped you think like backwards in a way?
Yeah.
Like an engineering mindset?
One of the hardest things that they always instill upon you is like learning to critique yourself. It's like the hardest thing to learn as an architecture student is understanding, like, I did this project, well, what are other people going to think about it?
Okay.
And start like reverse engineering, like, oh, I think this is so great. Oh my God, my mother's going to put it on the fridge. It looks fantastic. And then getting in a room with a professional or somebody else that rips it apart. You start really questioning things a lot more.
To not be in the frame. Like in the sense, to not be in the frame of your own picture.
Correct.
Was that difficult for you when you were in school and you had mentors in the beginning? Because it seems like you're an extremely high performance, competent individual. It can be hard for people like us to do that, to humble themselves.
I think the bigger thing is when you realize it's not about you.
Okay.
If you can understand that and get it through your head early on, where like, no one cares about me, about the people I'm working with, right? None of my clients, I mean, they like me, but like, it's not about me, it's about them. And that's hard for a lot of, especially architects, to get rid of their egotistical way of thinking, like, I'm the architect, I'm the designer, it's my project. Bro, you're not paying for it. It's not your project. That's not how someone else is perceiving your value.
Was there a specific experience that happened for that to be like a wake-up call, or was it a mentor? With both?
I think
light
it was
bulb moment?
Not off the top of my head. I think it's just been years of experience now. Like, you know, I'm 29, but I've been operating a business in my early 20s, and even prior to that, you know, I do get asked like, "Oh, where are you at today?" Like, I used to play video games professionally as a 12-year-old kid.
What game?
I played Counter-Strike.
Okay, me too.
There you go. I played 1.6. I was at a Cal M League.
That's awesome.
And then also I used to play World of Warcraft. I used to be a GM of a raid.
What's
right?
going on?
Right? It's crazy, right?
I couldn't find this on your LinkedIn because I don't want to put it on my LinkedIn. Holy Paladin. You don't even know what's going on.
I was a druid. But I used to think back. I love you. I used to think back to, and now it makes sense. It's easy to connect the dots.
This makes sense.
But when I was like 14, 15 years old, and I'm running these imaginary dungeons with people in their 30s and 40s, and taking down these imaginary dragons, those same skill sets apply to exactly what I'm doing today.
Yes, they do. That is cultural alignment.
Exactly.
Okay, so hold on. Did you have your own guild?
I did. We were top 10 in the
Were you a Resto Druid?
I was a combo. Well, Retro Druids always started out, but then you could eventually tank later on.
Yeah, you were able to do both.
But no, I was a Resto Druid, and then but our guild was the first to down Ragnaros in Molten Core.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yeah,
so that was like,
I was a rogue at that point.
Yeah, that's
but
think how big that was.
That's huge.
One of our tanks had the Thunder Fury.
For the normal humans that are watching this right now,
they're thinking we're out of our minds.
You're like the top 0.0001%. You're 12, you're 13, 14 years old, right?
Yep.
Would you say that you were more of like an abstract creative person in school? Or
not back then. I didn't value school like I do today.
Okay, so you didn't value like the normal formal
the
education.
environment wasn't fit for me, even through high school, even up through high school.
So was it a struggle?
I went to the high school I went to was a high technology high school in Lynn Croft, New Jersey.
Okay.
When I was there, it was the number 7th ranked high school in the nation.
Okay.
And then after I left, it was number 4. There was kids in that high school getting full rides to NJIT, UPenn, Harvard. There was kids literally getting full rides to these Ivy League schools. I didn't think anything of it.
Wow.
Now I look back on it, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, I could have went to some Ivy League school if I really applied myself, but I just skated through with B's and C pluses and A minuses and just went on my merry way.
Was it that you didn't tie it to the end goal, or for example, when I grew up, my uncle was a builder. He was an entrepreneur. I wanted to be that entrepreneur. I didn't really tie schooling to that, and my mom was like, Jay, you're smart. Just do what you want to do. Like, what was your?
I think I never saw the connection between school and the real world for me. I think that was the bigger thing. Like, I didn't realize like these math equations that I'm learning. Like, well, if I learn to code later on, they're going to mean something. Now they didn't mean anything back then for what I was trying to accomplish.
Okay.
And I think that disconnect was why I didn't like school
Did
as
that
much as I
connection
could.
come later on though?
Oh yeah, it definitely does.
Okay.
Reading books and learning and like watching high performing individuals and seeing their habits and traits and then relating that to how I can improve today as a CEO.
Okay, so let's go back, right? You're 16 years old.
Yep.
Are you still playing?
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
What was the point where, so for example, when I was 18, my computer broke. This one, my computer broke. It was season 7. It was over. Like, I had to grow up. I had to work. I took all that meaning and put it into entrepreneurship.
I know exactly when mine was.
Yeah.
It was school. It was college, actually.
Okay.
So I stopped gaming freshman year of college. My second semester, it was like...
You're 18?
18 at the time.
18,
It was like, I'm either going to go through this architecture thing or I'm not. And there was a professor I had at the time, and he was the one that literally knew, he called me out. He's like, you're not going to be an architect. You're going to go sell Skittles. And I remember him telling me this. I don't want to mention his name, but he knows who he is. And I hit him up, and I told him, he's like, I'm sorry for saying that. I'm like, no, but you were right. You identified that I like the business side more of this profession than the actual doing of it. And at that point was kind of when I made that shift. And Designblends was born in my sophomore year as a blog, as about talking about these different disciplines of design overlapping.
Okay, so you're in college and you're already thinking outside the box. You're taking the courses that you have to take, and you start this blog where you're writing about what the future of design.
Well, sort of
in relation to architecture.
So we were writing about the overlapping different disciplines of design. So we went to Philadelphia University. Well, now it's Jefferson, and there's a very design-heavy school. They have fashion design, graphic design, industrial design, architecture. What we were doing was writing about how architects were collaborating with industrial designers to create something really cool.
Okay.
Or how a fashion designer and architect might team up and it's this new dress that's inspired by an architect.
Interesting.
So that's what we were writing about.
Like the cross-pollination of fields.
The cross-pollination of fields in design.
And this is in 2011-ish?
Yeah.
You're still in school.
2010, 11. Yeah, right at the verge of 11.
Did you ever see it becoming what it is today, or was it okay? So
there was a moment of an aha moment that happened. So we were probably doing that for about a year and a half, and then it was like we had turned. So we took a break. Everyone thinks it's always a straight linear path. There was times where we didn't write, we started writing again, but then fast forward to where we're 21. I went out to an alumni networking event at the school, and everyone was toasted, everyone was having a great time, and I remember one of the alumni who was half in the bag going, oh, Designblends, I see you guys' stuff, do you do renderings?
Oh.
And I was like, click, and I said, oh yeah, we do renderings. Yeah, we'll do, wait, you need a rendering? Yeah, we can do that, $200.
Okay.
Right? That was our first paid gig in Designblends. It was a $200 rendering that took us about 45 hours to complete.
45 hours?
45 hours.
What is that per hour? Like a cent? I don't even know. That would be, you're the architect.
It's below minimum wage, right? Below minimum
That's
wage.
amazing.
And
both of us are still trying to figure out the math, by the way.
Yeah, I'm like, but we did that, great. And then he was like, do you do websites? I said, yeah. Actually, HTML, CSS, I learned it at high tech when I was there. I was like, I can build websites. I built Designblend's website. I can do that. So I built him a website.
Let's go back to the bathroom. Well, basically, you're with this guy, and he's like half in, half out.
Well, we're at the bar. Yeah,
okay, you're at the bar. And he asked you, do you do this? And instantly you had the answer, yes.
Correct.
Where did that confidence come from?
Well, knowing that, for one, we were learning all the latest technologies in the profession at the moment, all this tech that we knew we were doing renderings for school.
Yeah.
We were doing it for classwork, and I said, yeah, we can do it for you. Why not? We're doing Designblends outside of school hours. Well, why not do a $200 rendering?
And you made the commitment to just do it. You didn't have that fear.
No, not at all.
Do you believe that comes from the amount of like the time that you put into already getting good at it, and you just took the leap? Like, that is a metaphor for...
We do it every day in school, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like a confidence thing, but also, there's been times later on where like, you're not so confident. I know, I forget who it was. Is it Branson? He goes, if someone offers you an opportunity of a lifetime, say yes and figure out how to do it. Right?
Yeah.
It's like...
So is that, those mentors in a sense, was it personal development that had developed you to think that way prior to it, or was this
I think it was the experiences I had when I look back from 12 years old, playing in a highly competitive Counter-Strike league, learning strategies and just working with other people, and like those things start compounding on you. And even prior to that, growing up in the restaurant industry, my grandfather owned a diner, my dad owned a deli, just being around entrepreneurs my entire life.
When you were playing high-level games, did you have a part-time job?
Yeah. Okay.
So you were working
elsewhere,
and you were playing at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's been like the ethos of your familial upbringing.
I was working in a bakery in my relative's diner. I was waitering tables.
What's the first job you ever had?
Well, first job, like unpaid job, was probably working at my dad's deli, like making sandwiches and cheesesteaks and stuff on the grill. Like I'd actually used to call out of school to go want to work with him at his deli. Like, oh, I'm sick. Like, I want to go work with him.
And how old are you?
I'm 29 now.
At the time, how old were you?
4th grade.
So 4th grade is like 11?
Maybe younger, yeah.
Wow.
10,
so
11.
for many, many years, you were already thinking of... Did you see yourself owning a business of your own someday? Or was it...
I always wanted to be in the restaurant industry, but I never wanted to work in it after so long, after watching my family members like work 7 days a week. Now I work 7 days a week. It's besides the point. But I wanted to go off to school and design them.
Okay.
So that was kind of my trajectory into architecture school. I was like, I'd rather go design restaurants, not work in them all day long.
Wow.
Yep.
So, it hit me so hard. One of my favorite quotes is Nietzsche, the liar, or the visionary lies to himself, the liar to everyone else. So like in that moment, you knew that you could make it happen. There was that confidence there. And you took the opportunity to do the 45-hour...
Someone on our team did.
But so you took the opportunity to collect $200 and pass go, I guess, and move to the next level. What was your next thought at that point?
Take all of our student work and put it on the website to show people what we could do.
So, and did you do that? That was the next thing.
We put up our hand-built models that we were building in architecture school. We put up other renderings, and there was a big project. We got a call from an intern at a company by the name of New Jersey American Water.
Okay.
Which is a pretty big company if you know who they are. They're just building a brand new headquarters in Camden right now.
Wow.
I forget what it is, but they operate like a ridiculous amount of pipelines in New Jersey. The intern called us and said, I saw your architectural models on your website. Can you come in? We have a project for you.
Wow.
I remember going into this place and literally on a hospital stretched gurney, they had a model that someone had built for them that they were showing. That's the only way they could get around. They bought a gurney for this 4'11" lady that had to cart it to conventions to show like a model of like what New Jersey American Water was. We said, we're going to make you one. Fast forward, we made this running water model that was on wheels. They could cart it around, put it in and out of their trunk, and we charged like $15,000 for it.
Wow.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah. And they said,
yeah, they signed it. And that was our first like holy aha moment of like,
we're doing this.
Something's going to happen here.
So,
and that was in school still.
You're still in school, yeah. This is in 2012.
This was 2012. We did that.
And at one point, you were consulting.
Yeah.
For was it a local business?
There was other small architecture firms. Like we were doing renderings for like firms around the city.
Okay.
But we were doing them at like such a low rate, we didn't realize like what the value of what we were actually doing for people was.
When did that click for you?
When we had to start making money and surviving and paying student loans.
And go. Okay, you graduated in 2015.
13. We graduated 2013. Everyone went off and did their own thing.
Okay.
But we were still in the background, still working other jobs. So we were, everyone was still, and actually I should back up prior. So, You said everyone cries, so I'm going to try not to cry. But in actually my last semester of my 5th year, I lost my father. So that was like rough. I actually almost didn't finish out school.
Wow.
My friends were like, dude, you got to like come back, like get it all done, like finish up your career here, finish up your school. I was like, I don't know, I got to go deal with the estate. I got to get out of here. But I stayed, and it was crazy just how like things started aligning. Like I graduated, we were so busy at Designblends, we started getting like consulting work like nonstop. Like I remember being at graduation, being like, oh my god, I got like work to do tonight.
Wow.
Like, and that was...
You say we. Do you have a partner?
So there's other people in the organization, yeah. So I have people that I started the company with. There's Scott, there's Tony, Mike came later on. Those are probably like
So Scott and Tony were there with you in the beginning when you guys were working in school.
Yep. It was mainly, Scott was like probably the core just because we were living together at the time. And then Tony and then after we graduated, we, so go through, we're all working at jobs, 2014 hits, and the firm I was working at knew full well what we were doing. We were doing renderings in the background. We were, working for this firm, working for other firms, and the company I was super ecstatic about what Designblends was, and they said, Brian, listen, love what you're doing with Designblends, love what you're doing here for us, but if you're going to stay here, we want to offer you a $42,000 a year salary, and we want to buy out 66% of Designblends for $20,000.
Wow.
And you retain 33%.
So they gave you an ultimatum.
An ultimatum, and also an offer that most 20-some-year-olds would have maybe snapped at. Like, oh my God, 20 grand cash and an offer to be in a company, to grow this sector. You'd still run the visualization department and do that. And I was actually considering it, and I started thinking, but getting back to your thought of like empathy, I started thinking like, well, what would Scott think? What might Tony think, or Mike? Like, what if I did sell? Like, do they want that? And ultimately, I said no, and I respectfully declined. In February 2014, I was on my own, not knowing when my next paycheck was coming in.
So February 2014, how many employees? What's the makeup?
One. Me working out of my row home in Manioc.
And okay, now it's Monday morning.
Yep.
It's let's say a week after you turned down that offer. What is going through your head? What steps is the entrepreneur taking, right?
So that's
years before we have all these employees and all this awesomeness.
Yep. So thinking like, well, I got to get some of the work done because we had active work going on. So it was like, okay, I got to get this work done. And I was living with Scott at the time, who's now our director of architecture. He was coming home at night after working his full-time job and helping me do other work. But I actually think it was the best thing that could have happened because now I could literally focus all day long on working with other clients out there. So not only could I be doing the work during the day, not during other work hours, I could be responding to emails, I could be making phone calls to these clients.
So you saw it increased your productivity?
Oh, it was the best decision. Overnight, we exploded with work because I could focus on getting new work during the day, focus on doing more work. It was like literally, it was just like, I got to just like get my toe in the water. Like something like I got over that hump and I was like, oh my God, the work started pouring in.
What's your advice to entrepreneurs or people in general that have to make that leap?
So I'll get to this part of the story, but there's one of my mentors, Scott, who actually owns the building we're in. I remember signing my first lease for this space when we got out to it. And it was $750. And I look back and I was like, I remember signing it going, that's a lot of money. That's more than I'm paying in rent in this little row home that we're working out of. And I remember like I was there. And he goes, Brian, you can't dip your toe in. You got to jump the fuck in. So he always said to me, quote for quote. And I was like.
Was that the best thing that you ever did?
Yeah. It was like, got out of the little 100 square foot row home, got into a 600 square foot office space. Haven't looked back since. And it's like you have to overcome the hump. There's nothing's going to change if you operate the way you're operating. I actually think where most entrepreneurs, they're fearful of being uncomfortable. Trust me. I remember when I signed that, we had like $6 grand, $8 grand in the bank account. 6 to 8 grand doesn't get me through Monday. And you say that to people and they're like mind blown.
Yeah.
It's like, at a certain point, it's like the money becomes irrelevant. It's like if you know what you're doing is valuable enough to other people, the money shows up. The money is not the concern. It's like literally.
I like that.
You like that? All right. No, but it's true though. The money. People got to stop thinking about, oh my God, can I pay my bill? Can I do this? If you're valuable enough, if you're offering something that's so valuable to other people, money. What's money? People will pay whatever it is.
People ask me, where does your confidence come from? It's like when you know something other people don't know.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do? How much time do you spend working on yourself and on this type of work? Because I can see the conviction in you. Like it's like you're telling the truth.
Well, yeah, I'm sitting here, right?
Yeah.
I promise you, it's real. It's you know, it's like if you, for one, how much time I spend working on myself.
Well, and in relation to this business, I mean, you're revamping an industry. From what I see as an ignorant person looking outside,
you're 100% right.
You're leveraging technology in the way of streamlining the process for a developer to create the picture, the experience prior to the consumer even having a tangible thing to purchase, so that they can invest in it prior to, which streamlines and it decreases the time that it takes to create things, and it increases the value to the customer, increases the value to the new developers, increases the value to the finance firms that are lending money using technology. So for that, you have to have a visual, like abstract view of what the future is, and then the gumption to go and say, hey, like Nietzsche said, right? The visionary lies himself.
Where
does that come from?
It's. I think at a certain point you can start, when especially because if I look back now, right, if I was at that bar with that person, it's like, can you do a rendering? I would never think, I was never thinking the way I think today. But after seeing like what a possible, like I remember when we hired Scott the first time, and that was, we slowly got out, we moved into that spot in November. And prior to that, when I hired Tony in July. In July of 2014, I go, Tony, we got $6,000 in the bank account. I'm gonna give you $15 an hour for 40 hours a week.
Wow.
Come on board. Let's see what can happen. I remember being in the room in this row home with Tony. Tony was commuting from Cherry Hill. I remember being in a room and going, man, this would be fucking awesome to hire Scott by like next March. We hired him 3 weeks later.
Wow.
In August, and moved into that spot in Manayunk in November. Right? It was like, it wasn't that, but what I think it was like I could start seeing a little bit further past the bow of the boat. It's like I could like 10 feet out, 15 feet out. I could start, wow, well, if we got Scott, we could do this. Well, holy shit, if we got another employee with Scott, we could do that. And I started just like slowly expanding my vision. And now today, I can sit here confidently and tell you that realtors need to wake up. There's technology being developed out there that might eliminate realtors.
Yeah, well, a lot
the
of
need for
people talk about
realtors.
this.
It's happening. I know companies that are doing it. There's going to be a virtual world where you will go in and purchase your real estate. No realtor required.
Wow.
It's happening. There's companies creating tech that it's kind of like, would you have told if I told you 15 years ago you're going to let your daughter get in a car with a stranger and candy in the back seat, would you believe me?
It's called Lyft.
Right? Same shit.
Yeah.
People are ignorant.
They have to wake up.
They have to wake up. They have to understand that if you're not bringing enough value, you're not going to have a job.
Yeah. Did you see this in... Okay, so there's quite a bit of information out there when it comes to like the Singularity University, Ray Kurzweil. Have you ever heard of that guy?
I know of...
Peter Diamandis.
I know
the
the
GoBundance.
Yep.
There's a lot of information out there about our technology doubling and Moore's Law doubling on itself and all that. Are these the types of things that you've inculcated yourself in that kind of education in college that you said, hey, I want to get in an industry that's like going to really disrupt things? Because it seems like you're really disrupting things.
I actually feel, so the building industry is like 100 years behind every other industry. It's crazy. We're still putting bricks the same way they put bricks back in the early 20s on buildings. Now there's like robots that are created now that are like laying bricks and like mortaring the joints automatically. Like it seems like crazy, but think of like technology. We've done it to where we can high compute AI technology, but in the building industry, we still have people placing bricks like this.
Yeah. So that is something that you think is a problem, that it's going so slow and you want to speed it up?
Well, there's that, but also I think the building industry in itself hasn't been disrupted. There's been no disruption to it, right? Technology, all the stuff you have, the internet you have, you have bits and pieces of every other, like, you know, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I wear an artificial pancreas that gives me insulin all day long.
Yeah.
Right? Like, where's my robot that's assembling 2x4s all day long?
Interesting. So, for example, that thought comes to your mind because technology is helping us here, but it's not helping us over here.
Correct.
And that, in a sense, is like, oh, what the heck is going on? So, Designblends, in a sense, is the bridge between the technology that is helping us over here and what should be helping us here, over here in the real estate
we
community.
say it in-house, robots assembling buildings. I was chuckling. There was something actually on Facebook where a robot was literally placing like building materials the other day. I was just like smiling to myself. I'm like, I know, it's coming.
So, okay, so how is Designblends capitalizing on that for its clients?
Sure.
Yeah.
So today what we do, so obviously we're not we're not building out robots, but what we are building out is tech to do what we do. So right now, Designblends in-house, we have an architecture team, a real estate marketing team, which is creating 3D assets, and then we have a construction team that's building anything 10 units and below for clients.
Okay.
What we do very well is streamline that process. We offer everything in between a la carte, but when you work with us from design, where we can take your 10-unit building, design it, put a whole marketing presentation together, website, renderings, 3D assets, SEO, pay-per-click campaigns, brochures, everything you need to sell a house, and align that with a rock-solid realtor or broker, and then build it, streamline it. We can literally help you design it, pre-sell it, and build it while you're looking for your next project.
So leveraging technology and the understanding of architecture, you can build out 3D like in a
we sit here and walk you through your building before we're submitting permits.
Way before anything. So then
anything,
the broker works with you guys in the marketing team to actually sell the units prior to, which gets the capital necessary for the developer sooner, which helps everybody.
So, and what I didn't realize, I mean, we were doing it, but what I didn't realize why it became so valuable is bank financing typically will be, all right, you're building 10 houses, you need to pre-sell 3 of them before we release the funds for the rest.
How it works.
Well, we're pre-selling about 50% for our clientele that work with us prior to a shovel hitting the ground.
That's huge.
It's very big.
And that time, in the information age, time is everything. Everything is all about, like, I'd rather, it's funny that our whole world is sped up so quickly. That's in a sense what you're, okay, so in 2015, you're all in at this point, and you have your first employee. Was the initial idea, okay, we're going to be able to help, you know, the broker and the builder sell their units before, or did it kind of mold into like being disseminated?
So obviously we knew about that. Like we were like, oh wow, these visuals and website presences are helping, but we didn't realize how much they were helping, and we didn't realize what else we could do on top of that. Like since 2015, we've been improving that process. So now not only are you speccing out your design with your final finishes while I'm working with our architecture team, that is being translated to a brochure automatically in templates that we've created and built out, and we're quantifying how many sheets of drywall you need to build your house from the design phase. Nobody's doing that.
That's powerful.
But you know who is doing it? So if I back up to the concept of what Designblends is. You go around and you look at some of these massive home builders, national home builders, Toll Brothers, K-Hobbs of the world, Ryan Homes, these guys that are building in every state. What do they have in-house?
Their salespeople?
What else?
Their own architects?
They have their own architects. What else do they have?
Their presentation.
Yeah, their marketing team. They're putting out brochures. They have construction managers for their communities.
Their goal is basically to get to the point where they're big enough to afford all that infrastructure, and then that gives them an advantage over the little guy.
Exactly.
But you're breaking that.
So we flip that model. So we work with all the small to mid-level developers. I don't want to work with Toll Brothers.
Interesting.
So our model is the reverse of that, to where if you're building anywhere from 10 to 100 homes a year, we can provide you with the same enterprise level services that Toll Brothers and all those big guys have.
That's a really big disruptor to that. Do you have security? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, our key fobs are coming next week.
But
I mean, we do the rendering technologies that I have in place here is on par with what Disney's using.
So what drives that? Is that a culture thing? Is it
it's a never settling. It's in our core values. It's never settling. For what's the status quo.
Explain that.
So like never settling. Architects used to hand draw. Most architects today are still using line work, like solo lines, like, oh, we need a wall offset at 8 inches, boom. That's not our mentality. We're building things in 3D virtual environment where we can quantify materials, and we're always looking for the next best thing in technology. And back to our cross-disciplinary, I just don't have architects on staff. I have industrial designers sitting behind me. I have graphic designers. I have project managers, construction managers, architects, you name it. I'm combining all these different disciplines of design to create a better built environment.
Wow, that's powerful. Where did that idea initially come from, to cross-pollinate disciplines?
From our origins. Of like, so if I can put an industrial designer next to an architect here, what they come up with and how that system works for speccing your finishes to like visualizing it doesn't happen how it happens with that pollination.
And that was the initial thought that started the company, wasn't it?
Correct.
Like that cross-pollination.
There was a time we run a system called Traction, Getting a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. It's my third vibe.
I've heard of this.
So it was something we actually identified. It was like, wow, like we're running this organization. It was back when we were in that 2015 room. It's like, okay, we're running our organization a certain way. Well, what's our mission? Like what's like defines what we do? And we started looking back to our roots. We're like, well, what the fuck? Like we used to write about architects and industrial designers working together. Well, why aren't we structuring our organization to actually work like that? So I just got out of a meeting prior here with the Viz team, where there's 2 industrial designers on, and they're talking about the collaboration that they're working on with a construction manager downstairs in how the booklet that goes out to our new home buyers is going to look and how they're going to be able to virtually go online and pick these finishes.
Wow.
That doesn't happen with just an architect or
Not
just
if you
a graphic
silo.
designer. Not if you silo it, exactly.
So the cross-pollination, right? A polymath, a Greek polymath, meaning many learnings, that open communication between different disciplines.
Yep.
That was like the crux of the foundation for the original blog, which became the business. And then as you're growing it, sometimes we can get lost in the midst of everything, but then it hit you.
Yep.
Was it a course you were taking or something? There's a book called Traction that kind of sparked that light bulb.
Yep, by Gino Wickman. It was like really diving back to like what your company means. Like you go on our website, there's a tab that says core values.
Yeah.
I don't find that on other people's websites.
I agree. It started Culture Matters for a reason.
Right? Like,
what are some of the values? What are some of your values?
Never settle. Transparency. So how we run our organization. Everyone in this. If you ask everyone what's Brian's salary, they can tell you a number. They know what my salary is as a CEO.
Wow.
Right?
So
we've been pure transparency, not only to ourselves but also to our clientele. If there's an issue, we're going to tell you about it. We're not going to hide it from you.
Wow.
You know, there's never settle. Yeah, transparency, honor, integrity. I mean, just doing things right. You know, there's been times where clients will say, "Well, can you just do it this way?" And I'll do it this way in the field. Like, we're not comfortable with that, right? It's because it's not right. Someone's life could be in danger, so we'll say, "Look, we're not going to do the project." If that's how.
So you guide the decisions of your organization based on what you believe.
Correct.
It's extremely powerful. And no, it isn't common knowledge or common sense.
Yeah, but it's little things like that you know. And what's even better about that is like you hire and fire based on those core values. So if you don't align with those core values, you're not going to last here long. It's not only that, because the people that are in this room all have those core values. So,
Culture matters.
Culture matters, right? Yeah, sure.
Oh my God, I'm so excited right now.
But that's how you
Wow.
run a successful company. It's you know, you look at Pixar, you look at Disney, you look at these companies that like how they got so big. It was because they had a vision, they had a mission statement, they had values that the people that they hired match, and that puts everyone in the same boat.
For me, I had read a book in 2014 that really impacted me called Uncontainable, and it changed how I led my organization from no employees to many quickly. Was it a book, a mentor? Was it experiences? Was it your college experience? What inspired you to realize that culture was that important and that driving the company through the belief system was so foundational? Because it's obvious that it is to you.
Yeah.
And it is not normal. I give you a lot of credit. Wow.
I think the hardest thing is like having the vision. Like it's hard for me. Like I know what's coming. I told you like realtors in 10 years. Like it's going to be an issue for them.
Wake up.
You need to wake up. You need to start looking out what's going on. I know like everyone's like VR. VR is not here yet. Like guys, I have a $10,000 machine over there that runs VR. This is what we have in our pockets.
Yeah,
it's $1,400 the last one. We're getting there, right? But like, the technology's not there yet. So the fact that people are trying to get in now, start all this stuff, they're wasting their time. We know that AR, augmented reality, is going to come much quicker than VR, and it's going to happen overnight. It's already happening. So the technology that we're looking at, it's like you start being able to predict the future a little bit, and you can start making decisions. And for me, the hardest thing as a CEO is like having that vision, like knowing where Designblends is going to be in 10 years and trying to sell that to the guy making $50,000 and keeping that growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
of course.
the hardest thing. And so by having certain core values in your organization, you operate that way. Like every month when I have a town hall, I'm showing the numbers. Guys, here's our revenues. Here's what our goals are. We're ahead. We're behind. How do we get it back on track? And then you set up everyone in the organization with goals. Everyone in my organization has goals.
Wow. Was that something innate in you, or did you have guidance to figure that out?
I mean,
What are some of the books that you like to read?
I read Traction, Crushing It by Gary Vee is
Yeah.
another big one. I read a ton of business books.
Is it nonfiction business is kind of like your niche and where you usually educate yourself?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I've said in a couple of, I do a lot of talking or a lot of speaking events, and somebody they're like, what was your favorite book you read growing up? And it was like Holes. I don't know if you know.
Holes, yeah.
That was like one of the few books that I read like cover to cover from 1st to 8th grade.
What did it teach you?
I don't know. It was just, I really enjoyed it. I don't know why. I just
Yeah,
think it
that
was
was
like
that-
I think it was just like they all go out, they do the same thing every day, and like, they kept going until they found the chest.
So would you consider yourself consistent, and then that's like what drives?
And then luck
In the
happens.
last-
And luck happens.
Because you started this in 2011, 12-ish, before then, when you were still in college. It was like, you're almost like that archetypal, Gary Vee talks about that side hustle, it sounds like, where he's like, work your full-time job, but in those extra 4 hours, build your company. That's become a 20-plus employee. You have over 100 developer clients. Like it's you just won the award, number 9.
Number 9
Fastest growing
in the region. We were 3 in Philly. If you actually look at
Okay.
the list, we were number 3 in Philly, but number
That's
9 in the
huge.
region. Yeah, it was honor. It was fantastic.
And you know, it's been about 5 full years that you've been hitting it really, really hard. So now, with all the things that are changing, with the technology doubling, and you obviously see this, where do you see your strategy going?
Can't tell you.
Oh no, I like that.
I mean, honestly, we're setting up to go nationwide as an organization. So,
Wow.
you know, setting up our processes, making sure our standard operating procedures are right. We're, as you can hear, I'm sure you hear some banging.
Yeah.
The walls down in between. We just took on another 1,000 square feet of space that we need to keep growing. So, you know, as an organization, like, you know, Philly's our home. It will always be our home. We love it here. But we knew if we could get it right in Philly,
You
gonna
could
be easy to go
be able to
elsewhere.
scale
It's
it.
gonna go easy.
Why do you say that in Philadelphia?
Price point. So, for example, if you're selling a new construction home for $450,000 here in Philly,
Okay.
that's a $700,000 house in Chicago.
Huh.
If you're selling a $750,000 house here, it's almost $1 million house in Chicago or in DC.
Okay.
That's the difference. The real estate market in Philly is lower than everywhere else.
And so if you can make it here, you could kill it anywhere
I know
else.
how long, and I can create processes to put together a single-family row home in Philadelphia. Pretty similar in DC, just a little different zoning requirements.
That's powerful. Now, you made a joke earlier about, you know, not working, wanting to work every day growing up and then working every day. I think we all at some point hit that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm actually doing what I didn't want to do. What drives you, Brian?
Passion. That's it. It's true passion for craft. You cannot achieve high-level results in whatever you're doing unless you have true passion for it. Because that's what's going to get you through the scary times.
Yeah.
That's going to get you, you know, I click a payroll button every 2 weeks. That's more than my college tuition. And that was rough. It's still rough. It's
Yeah.
like, holy shit, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of moving pieces. But like, it wasn't always that number, but it built up to it. And it's like, it's still scary, but it's like, the passion for what I'm doing, like, I know I will go find 40 grand if I need to.
Yeah.
Because I'm that passionate about, I will work 24 hours and not sleep if I have to.
Now,
That's what will get you through it.
millennials, they say birds of feather flock together. As you started to develop your company, which is a reflection of who you are and how big you think, how have you been able to grapple with the relationships that you had that maybe you don't have anymore, or maybe you do have, and maybe, you know, what's your advice?
I talked to one person from high school. Let that sink in for a second. I mean, the people I surround myself with now, and it was hard. It's real hard. And it's not just friends. It's family. It's relationships. You know, I've let relationships go in the past because I wasn't focused enough. I'm starting to reconnect with some of my family members that I just honestly didn't get to see. And it sounds crazy to
Yeah.
people. It literally, it's like, what do you mean you're not going to see your family? I'm like, yeah, everyone's got different things. But like my cousin Jake's at Philly right now. I'm trying to see him as much as possible. I didn't see Jake when he was at college for the first 3 years. Now he's a senior and I'm starting to hang out with him, right? Seeing my cousin Leanne, seeing people that I'm starting to reconnect with. But my friends, one of my lines that I like to say, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing more true about that. Like you could literally surround yourself with a deadbeat, or you can surround yourself with someone that's doing it and shaking things up and has a similar mindset and passion for what they do every day.
Did you notice that as you developed and this business developed, that it got harder and harder to maintain relationships?
Of course.
Because I think we all go through it at some point. And then what are some of the things you're doing now to surround yourself with collaborators or mentors, or is it something that you actively have thought about this year?
The one thing that that's really interesting, and it's a theory I have, is like it's how like the world puts people around you. Like I met Jay Doran today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we did, yes.
Right? But I've seen you around, but it's like, I have a feeling we were put together today for a reason.
Dude, you played Warcraft? We're best friends.
Warcraft 3 too, back in the day. Ray put the ships on shore and all that, right? And StarCraft too.
I was bad at that, but we'll let it slide.
But back to like how the world aligns people with you. I think that's something that people don't realize. Like stay in your lane, do what you're doing, and it's wild how the world starts to align things around you. When you stop worrying what everything else or what this person's thinking about you, or is that going to be okay? When you start literally just focusing on a vision for something that brings massive value to the world, and you focus on yourself, the people fall into place around you, your friends, certain family members, mentors. I've had mentors find me.
Wow.
I'm not seeking them. They're watching what I'm doing. They're reaching out, hey, I want to meet with you. Hey, can we get together? And they bring a certain value to me where I can be valuable to them.
Wow.
I just had lunch with a guy, he's in his 50s. He's like, dude, like, this is awesome. Just hearing from you, like, what you're doing. He's learning from me at 50 years of age.
It's humbling.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's not... it's not an ego thing. Like, I think that's the biggest misconception. Oh, he's an egotistical prick. Like, people say, he's an asshole. No, not at all. Like, I have so much empathy, I have so much passion for wanting to give and share with people and to help them get better. And, I know what I've accomplished, but I know that can help other people. I know I could save people a year of their life of trying to figure business things out.
Is that part of what drives you now, is sharing and having that voice?
That's the next step for me, for sure.
Okay, because I think that... Number one, I can see it. I mean, how do we not have a responsibility being we're the antithesis. So we're taking that responsibility of this millennial conversation of the entitled, young, like.
Well, and I also think back to like the mentor side of things, right? Like, you and me, like we're at a certain level in our careers, but like we're not here. We're like, we're at a certain level, but like there's people doing it way bigger than us. But I start thinking of myself when I become those people, and it's like, I want to share with someone that's passionate enough that wants to take that information that I'm going to provide them and do something with it.
I love it.
So it's like them seeing the passion in me fuels them to want to help me.
Wow.
And that's where I think most people get it wrong. Most people they're winging it. They're like, nah, they haven't found it yet. When you find it, you'll know. And it just stuff falls into place, and you can run up the ladder as quickly as possible.
You talked about speaking. It's something that you've been doing more and more. How can people contact you for that? Or?
Yeah, obviously you can reach out to me at brian@designblends.com. Follow me on Instagram at Corcodilos.
And I know your company has high schoolers come every week.
4 o'clock today they
4 o'clock. There's a director of competition.
Yeah, so Jason and a couple of the other directors. There's high school kids that are in architecture school that are coming here to do a competition I guess it'll be every Tuesday from 4 to 6 that they'll come here after school and start learning. They'll get some advice. We'll teach them some things, but they essentially do a competition that they compete against other schools of the ACE Mentor program.
Whose idea was that to start giving back to the youth? Or was it like a group?
It's collective. I mean, it's something, one of our directors, Mike, he had done it last year at another spot, like another headquarters in the city. So him and one of our interns said, well, let's start a chapter here this year.
Huh.
So.
Wow. So 2019.
Yep.
It's day one, Q1. What is that first meeting that you're having with your company about?
Making sure that we're still on track for our vision, making sure that our rocks or our things that we do are aligned with that vision to make sure that if we know something needs to get done, it's done to keep moving forward. And just, you know, I think the one thing that I do well with my staff is like shed the light. Like, guys, like look where we're at. Like, look how young we all are sitting in this organization. Like, where do you think we could be in 15 years if we keep this up?
Do you guys have constant conversations?
Oh, all the time. I'm in 5 meetings a week with my team.
Wow. Okay, so can you break that down?
Yeah,
How does that look?
Yep. So,
and that aligns with the value transparency, it sounds like.
Of course. So every Monday from 4:30 to 6, sometimes it goes till 7, I run a meeting with my directors. So myself, Scott, Tony, and Mike, who handle each sector here. We go through all of our metrics, right? We know metrics on everything we do in our organization. We have different things we have to get done for the quarter. So we talk about that. And then any issues, there's always shit that comes up. It could be as little as like, it could be a minor lawsuit. It could be this person's unhappy. It could be we need new hardware, you know, something. But there's always issues. So we solve those issues in order of priority, and then we move on. And that's it.
You know, I'm thinking of Elon Musk right now when he was saying his friend was telling him being an entrepreneur is like staring into the abyss and eating glass. That your job is to go after the problems and solve it. And I love how you nonchalantly just said, yeah, there could be a lawsuit. We'll just, you know, we'll take care of that. We'll take care of this.
We do.
The transparency and the real, raw truth telling that you exude, Brian, is
bullshit. There's no bullshit here.
I love it. It's so culture matters. Yeah. It's so the future. Mm-hmm. It's okay, I'm just genuinely curious. In the next 10 years, what do you see the world being like? I mean, I consider myself quite a futurist. I mean, I've read a book recently that 40% of our white collar jobs won't exist. They'll be robotic. But like, what do you see is coming?
Well, I just stopped going to Whole Foods. I get my groceries delivered now to my doorstep every Sunday afternoon.
That's a metaphor. If you were to sit yourself down and have a conversation with yourself, 2014, prior to starting your company, after everything that's occurred in your life, personal and business, what conversation would you have with yourself knowing what you know today?
I would have said, I kept it very short and sweet. I would have said, it's going to be fucking difficult, don't stop.
So what you already know introduces you to someone that you should know.
Oh yeah, that's happened. I mean, that happens daily.
Daily?
Yeah.
Is this something that you usually take away with business or some kind of positivity, or is it the negative?
It
like,
depends.
how do you look at it?
What's interesting now is we're starting to get introduced to like big fish, like fat fish. It's like, I don't even know if I want to work with those fish.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Because like they operate a certain way. Like my business model is for that 10 to 100 unit type clients. That's where we kill it. But when I'm getting introduced to guys that are doing 500 units at a clip, it's like, I don't know if I want to play in that pond yet.
So,
or if I even want to.
Are you usually apprehensive upon meeting new people?
Well, now it's like you're interviewing shit. I'm running background checks on clients.
Wow, respect.
Yeah.
Have you had to be more apprehensive the more that your business has grown?
Yes. Because now it's real. Because the client fucks me now, it's a real deal.
Wow.
It's not, oh shit, you stiffed us on $1,000 rendering. Like, he stiffed us trying. Like I just literally back to court, I had someone try to stiff me on $76,000. All right, here's my fucking binder. Let's fucking go page by page.
That's a serious step.
Big shit.
So how often does Greg buy dinner? Because
all the time. You should reach out to Greg. How can he reach you?
It's crazy because you met Greg Schwartz, works with Commonwealth Title at
Union League.
The Union League.
Yep.
And
then you reintroduced me again. We met again, but I forget that we met each other at that event. Right. I forget how we.
And then how the heck did it happen that I trust Greg and I said, oh sure, I'll come here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
and
Greg must have known we both played World of Warcraft. Right. That's probably
on a scale from 1 to 10, how likely is Greg to short you on
money?
Yeah, just keep this. So just stop. Just stop.
It's good, right?
Dude, what was he? World of Warcraft over under?
This is awesome. I was like, he probably knew that we played World of Warcraft. Dude, no, we need to put that out because that'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
So, cool, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice meeting you.